to Alyssa.
All right. Thank you, Marquita. I'm going to open up our presentation here real quick, and then we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my slides here. Well, hi, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, we are a part of the NIGP Mentorship Facebook group, and we're excited to present this panel discussion on the value of internships today. My name is Alyssa Ellington. I'll be moderating as well as giving input to the discussion. And just a little, we're going to quickly introduce ourselves. So just a quick introduction about me. I'm the procurement supervisor at Ada County Procurement here in Boise, Idaho, and I've been here and in procurement for just 6 years. I do have my bachelor's in international business from Boise State, and I'm currently the NIGP Area 8 chapter ambassador, as well as the Idaho Public Purchasing Association chapter president for 3 years now. And I currently head up the Ada County Procurement Internship program, and it's on its 10th year. I've been running it for about 6 of those years. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm gonna pass it on to my fellow panelists here. Fatima, do you wanna go ahead and give your introduction?
Yes, I'm Fatima Calkins. I work at the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority at Orlando, Florida. I've been in procurement for about 40 years, and I'm currently working part of the committee of the Internship with the Central Florida chapter, also with the mentoring program. We've been running this program for the last about 11 years, and there's a lot of work to do, and I have a passion on those two things, and I look forward to this session and to answer any question that you guys may have.
Thanks, Fatima. Next up is Terry.
I'm Terry Mckee, the procurement director at an organization with a really long name, Knoxville's Community Development Corporation, which tells you virtually nothing. We are the public housing and redevelopment authority for the city and the county. And my career spanned almost 32 years, and you can tell by the gray. And I've been involved in our agency's internship for 3 years, and we'll talk more about that later.
Awesome, thank you. And then lastly, Lloyd.
First, thanks to NIGP for hosting this value of internships and having me on the panel. I really do appreciate that. So I'm Lloyd Wendell. I've been in procurement for 18 years. 13 of those years, I've been blessed to be in employment with the city of Tucson. In the last couple of years with the city of Tucson, I have become the contract administration manager, and I lead a team that does compliance for Davis-Bacon contracts, small business enterprise and disadvantaged business enterprise, and also auditing of existing contracts as well. And I don't run the particular internship for the city of Tucson, that program, but I'm here as a member of that agency who has successfully utilized the internship program, and I'm excited to be able to share with you my experiences.
Great, thank you, Lloyd. So as you can see, you know, we all bring a variety of backgrounds and experience with our internship programs to share with you today. So I'm just going to jump right in. We are going to have kind of just some different topics that we're going to discuss kind of around the value of internships. And feel free as we're going along to jump in if you have any questions, or definitely use the chat feature. We're going to have Terry kind of keeping an eye out on that. And yeah. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. I just wanted to start and just give you just a few points to take away before we bring up a topic with our panel. So just some things to think about, why people look for internships, just some of the values to keep in mind. So first off, internship experience has been shown to be the #1 factor influencing employer hiring decisions for recent grads. So it's a big deal for them to get these internships. It's also a great way to apply knowledge from the classroom to real world experience and to explore different career paths. It also gives individuals an edge over other candidates when applying for jobs. It prepares them for what to expect in their field and increases their confidence in their work. Of course, networking is huge. It builds your professional network. There's a 1 in 16 chance of securing a job by connecting with people, so networking is critical. And then professionalism, so it provides students with those soft skills that are needed in the workplace and in leadership positions. In a LinkedIn skills report from 2018, 57% of people rated soft skills as being more important than technical skills, such as communication, leadership, problem solving, and teamwork that can all be learned through an internship and utilized beyond that experience. And also, I mean, really just to learn what a professional environment is like to work in and how it operates. I know many of our interns don't get that experience before coming on, so it really is invaluable. Next is building their resume. So some students have no work experience to show for, so this is a great chance to build that resume before entering the workforce. And then gaining professional feedback and learning from others. So it's a huge opportunity for learning. They get a chance to observe others in their job roles, to learn the ins and outs of different positions and get feedback. All right, so next, why specifically government procurement? You know, we all are excited about government procurement, and it really is a chance for us to help fill the void. So it's a unique opportunity to share our field with students. So currently there's not a lot of education on government procurement at universities and colleges. Many of our students, I know, tell us that they maybe get one class on procurement and maybe a chapter of that is on government. So it really gives a chance to share our unique field with these students. It also introduces them to the government side of procurement and how local government works, what it's like to be a public servant. Yeah, and then public versus private. So the intern might now have experience with public and private through internship programs. So helps open up that door for them. And then lastly, connect with elected officials or whatever your higher up, is. We offer a letter of recommendation here at Ada County for our interns from our county commissioners, and some of our commissioners really like to connect with them as well, by taking them to coffee or having a one-on-one meeting with them, and that can really be invaluable to the interns. So now I'm going to open it up to our panel. And we're gonna start by just going over some different topic points. So the first one I wanted to bring up is, how long have you had your internship program running, and what school or schools do you partner with? Who wants to jump in on that first one?
I will take that one. At the Central Florida chapter, we have this program, we implemented it back in 2011. We've been successful. Like you said, first of all, the first things that I want to share is that most of the college students that we approach, they don't have any idea what is public procurement. So it is an opportunity for us to promote our profession, and making awareness that there is such things. And even though, like you said, that there's not, unfortunately, we don't have a degree right now in public procurement, but I kind of sell to the students, hey, you don't have to have the public procurement degree, but if you have a business administration or accounting program, because what we do, we do a little bit of everything, a legal aspect, we do some kind of accounting, we need to know our budgets, and things like that. In regards to what kind of schools does the Central Florida chapter approach? We do university, the University of Central Florida, it's Stetson University. We do some community state college, which is, for example, Valencia, and Seminole County University, State University. So we do, we're very involved with those 4 entities.
Sorry, I'm muted. Great, thank you, Fatima. And you touched on it. I did want to ask specifically too, do you partner with just one school or multiple? Because I know, different agencies do it differently. So thank you for touching on that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I'll go next. Ours program is much different. While we cooperate with our chapter, our actual internship program evolved from the University of Tennessee, their Department of Master's degree in Public Policy and Administration contacted me about 3 or 4 years ago, because I am a graduate of that program, and asked would I come speak to one of their master's level classes about what is government procurement. And I agreed if I could bring members of our chapter, and I see Penny Owens joined this group, and Penny was one of the ones that the first year went with me. And we always take 2 or 3 from our East Tennessee chapter, and that's what we started introducing the university master's program to what is public procurement. We take one class session once a year and talk about it. And we talk about public procurement careers. And in fact, we're going, I believe, on November 1st or 2nd, something like that this year. But out of that, the university talked to me about, we would love to place interns at KCDC and anywhere else. And then I was able to talk to the financial powers that be, the CFO that I report to, and get an internship program established for the procurement division. So ours is sort of a weird hybrid. We do it, the class at the university on behalf of the chapter, but our chapter doesn't have an internship program per se, other than when I was president a few years ago, we established a student membership category at no cost. And because of our outreach to the University of Tennessee, we do have some student members now, but we don't really have an organized chapter internship program. And in a broader answer to your question, I'm sure our chapter would partner, and my employer would probably partner with other universities, but so far that's where we've concentrated.
Great. Lloyd, did you want to give a little intro about your program?
Yeah, I can provide a little bit more. Fatima's information was fantastic, as well as Terry's. Mine's a little different. So the City of Tucson's internship program is pretty well developed and detailed for that. In my role as past president of the Copper chapter, the local NIGP chapter here, it was one of my goals and one of my efforts was to go out and reach, universities, colleges, institutions where we could possibly bring in either mentorship program through the chapter or make available internships through the agencies who are members of the local Copper chapter. And through those types of efforts, I was able to partner with Pima Community College. It's our local community college here in Tucson, Arizona. And they actually have a logistics and supply management chain program. And so there was an immediate audience that I was able to meet with and talk to about a number of things. I was invited there to be a guest speaker in that program to talk about contract compliance, but I also devoted a number of minutes and time to talk with them about the value of not only the professional organization that I belong to and how they could participate in that at no cost, but also extend the availability of being able to apply for an internship through the City of Tucson. And with that, I was able to at least get one person who was interested in it and have some follow-up conversations. I will share that success story later, but the key is really, and the challenge is being able to reach the right people within the higher education areas, in the universities. And then, some of the things that I had thought about was actually going to the local high schools potentially, and to provide some education along those lines. And then here in Pima County, we have a technical education program as well. And so there are lots of opportunities out there. It's just how do you get involved with them? And then the other fortunate thing, I was asked to be a board member on the Logistics and Supply Chain Management Council for Pima Community College. And that invited in a lot of folks from the private sector as well. And we meet on a quarterly basis. And one of those topics we talk about is not just workforce development, but internship programs that are available to the students to participate in.
That's great. That sounds like a great panel to be a part of. I wonder if our school has anything like that.
Alyssa,
Go ahead.
I would like to add something else. I just want to share something that everyone can participate in this program with the local universities or community college. Like for example, here in the Central Florida area, we participate on, they call it career development. They have a week during the fall and also during spring. And what we do is just, we have members that volunteers to do like mock interviews and also resume critique, you know, and students need this, you know, and we can help them out, you know, offering those services, and at the same time we can you know, promote our profession, you know. So I encourage all the members that are watching this this video, you know, to become part of the you know, of the internship and externship volunteer, you know, so they can help us promote our profession. That's the main thing, promote procurement, because a lot of the students, they're not aware what procurement is all about, or supply chain at all.
Right. No, that's great. There was something similar like that here at Boise State last year. I know it was through our College of Business and Economics, and one of my colleagues participated in that for the first time, and it was that kind of mock interview situation, and she was the only government person represented. So I think it was a great opportunity, like you're saying, to really get, you know, our career field out there in front of some business students. So yeah, see if your schools have something like that available. Thanks everybody for just kind of giving us a little glimpse into your programs. And I already kind of mentioned ours is through Ada County here in Boise, Idaho. And again, it's on its 10th year. So it is pretty established as well. We just solely partner with Boise State, and you know, it's worked out really well for us because they're very close. I'm here in our courthouse and they're literally just you know, a couple minutes away. So it makes it really easy for commuting and all that. But it is something to consider, you know, if you have several universities nearby, if you're just starting out, it might be best to maybe start with one and build, and then maybe you advertise it to multiple. And so really, that brings me into my next question. What students or departments at your universities do you market your internship to, and which ones have thrived the most? I thought about this because, you know, hardly any schools have a procurement degree. And usually a lot of the times the closest you'll find is supply chain management. And that is really who we partner closely with at Boise State. But I will add just a little insight. We also market to the political science department, and I've had interns from both areas, and I don't know, I have a soft spot for the ones in political science because they really appreciate our involvement in government and they kind of see it from a different view. So just something to throw out there if you're thinking about who to market your internship program to. But what do the rest of you do? Who do you work with in your universities?
I approach the business administration college and the accounting. Those are the only two, but it's a good idea that you mentioned about the political science, and I will make it part of it for in the next go around.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The political science area, whatever its name may be, in our case, the Master's in Public Administration, is a great fit, as Alyssa said, because they're already most likely looking for a career in public service, could be a nonprofit kind of place, probably public service. And that's who we market it to, with another twist though, and I don't know how other entities do. When I started it, I thought because it's not a permanent position that we could pretty much put a notice in the political science department, the master's program bulletin board in old-fashioned terms, and I would choose from whomever sort of sent me a resume. Our HR department said otherwise. So they post our internships like any other job. And we actually get applicants that are not even college educated, which is interesting. But so ours ends up being marketed to everyone. And then we sort through and frankly, we pretty much consider ones in the master's program, but it was an unanticipated twist in our world.
Okay. Lloyd, do you have anything else to add on that one?
Nothing else to add. Thank you, Alyssa.
Okay. All right. Well, next is, I guess, the topic of paid versus non-paid. So I understand we all kind of approach this a little bit differently. Does anybody want to take that right off the bat?
We offer, in the Central Florida area, again, we offer the non-paid. That's an issue that we have sometimes with the students. You know, they're looking for a paid internship. And so that's one of the challenges that we deal with. But like I said, it's a non-paid internship program that we offer. It would be nice if we could, offer them a paid one.
Yeah, so the city of Tucson, they offer, both programs, and they're a little bit different, but we do offer unpaid student internships as well as paid student internships. They must comply, with what was the Affordable Care Act, so they can't work more than 20 hours per week to be a part of that. And there are some requirements, that I won't go into now that talks about, what those qualifications are, but, at a minimum, they have to have a cumulative GPA of at least 2.5. They have to be in good standing. And this isn't just applicable to those folks who would intern in the procurement department per se, but they could be interning at other areas, whether it's HR, legal, could be transportation. So the city's program is very broad and encompassing.
Ours was not so. We don't really have, as an entity, we don't really have a formalized internship program. We're really small, by the way, compared to the rest of you. There's 136 people that work here. In HR did, prior to my request, had asked our board to establish a policy that we could actually have interns. So that's about as far as our policies go, in contrast to Lloyd. We pay $12 an hour, and frankly, that was because that's what the master's program internships require. It wasn't some figure Terry came up with. They said that's what we require, and I said I'll see if I can get it funded. And lo and behold, I could. I don't believe KCDC would do unpaid internships. I should have researched that, but I get the strong inclination from HR that that's not a possibility here. And the hours in our case are flexible. I get budgeted for X dollars a year. I can't remember top of my head. I meant to look it up. I don't remember how many hours. I think it's 200 something hours we can pay our intern for. And I leave it up to the intern, work around your schedule and somewhat with my needs, but work around your schedule. If it's Mondays and Tuesdays from noon to 5, or Thursdays and Fridays from 8 to 3, I don't really care in our case. So that's how we handle that.
And Terry, I think we handle it kind of similarly. At Ada County, I know I would just recommend, I guess, first off, if anybody's curious if you're going to start a program, that you just really talk to your HR department. I know ours advises paying because, you know, obviously there's a lot of obvious reasons, but they, you know, are a little more cautious just because of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Sometimes it's a gray area on if they're given real work assignments that benefit the company. So just something to think about, and really I would just talk with your HR department and see what they advise. We pay $11 an hour too, similar to your 12, and we get about 150 hours a semester. So school comes first, so we're very flexible as well, and as far as their schedule. And I know some people had some comments in here on the chat. Terry, I don't know if there's anything else that wasn't addressed.
We are sharing in the chat. People have, someone posted the question, please share any issues you might have, something to that effect. And several people have shared comments, mostly revolving around HR and how we have to navigate. Someone said I had to come up with a specific job description that met HR's intern classification, and other comments, no real questions. Great comments and thoughts if you're starting a program or looking to improve a program, but they're not really questions so far.
Perfect. Yeah, and Tanya, I see your comment here too, that your interns are assigned more data entry for billing department. Yeah, try to see if you can get them assigned to procurement. And that's something when we interview, we're like, you're not just going to be doing filing. Like, we want to give you hands-on experience. We want to bring you to the pre-bid meetings. We want you to help with our document development, you know, we want to make it really valuable for you. So that's definitely something that I would recommend trying to do. All right. Well, my next question is, when do you do your internships? Do you do spring, fall, summer? How many students do you bring on? Who wants to take that one?
I can start. We do ours in the fall after the university resumes classes. I coordinate with the professor that coordinates the program and ask him sort of, when will you be ready this year to advertise it to your students and give me feedback about your students. And it also allows us to get past our beginning of year, which is July 1st. So I normally start working on it in August, and then we would have our intern probably in place by October 1st. This year, because the university went back later because of COVID, we haven't even interviewed yet. I think I will interview in mid-October, and we'll probably start this person in November. And then we're playing back to what I said earlier, how long they stay with us sort of depends on how much time they can devote, but usually ours spans 2 semesters or parts of 2 semesters.
Anyone else?
I will. We offer year-round. You know, the students can apply for at any time, but in addition to that, like I mentioned before, we attend the career fairs that they have during fall and spring, and during those periods, we also offer externship or job shadowing. Some of them call it job shadowing. And what we do, we recruit agencies from the chapter to volunteer to offer job shadowing to maybe 8 or 10 students. And we have the students come to to our office for 2 or 3 days a week, and they can see what we do. And again, we're very flexible with their schedule, and they can come and just do a job shadowing of what we do, and we explain them the whole process from the beginning to the end. And like we got a good good outcome with those job shadowing, so that's
great. Yeah, Fatima. Do you do that separately from your internships?
Yes, that's separately.
Okay.
That's separately. And from that, you end up getting an internship. You know, from those students that they come to do the job shadowing, they do, you know, they apply for internship.
Great.
And again, it's a non-paid, but the way that we offer, the way that I personally present them is that, hey, if you would like to apply for an internship, you know, talk to your counsel, you know, you can get credit, you know, doing an internship instead of a class. You know, we do, I guess the professor gives them some homework, some type of projects to write about the experience that they're having, and they end up earning credit towards their career.
Thanks for bringing that up, because somebody had mentioned that in the chat, and I think that is a good point to bring up too. Does your university offer them to have a chance to get credit for your internship?
Yes.
And ours does too. They don't always do it, but if they want to, I know that is an option if they don't meet the deadline, if they meet the deadline. So
Yes.
anyone else?
Yeah, so internships, you know, at the city can be year-round. I think with the COVID and the pandemic hitting us this year, it's probably thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench into how we normally would approach those things. So I don't have any examples to share how anyone at the city has done that, but I think there's opportunities for us still to utilize technology, and it might be an incentive for the next generations, the millennials or the Generation Z, to be able to participate in internships if it can be done remotely as well. And so normally we would definitely have our interns come into the office environment. That is just not possible right now. And as I had mentioned before, we were limited to 20 hours per week for them. But, you know, for the internships, I partnered with Pima Community College. They had some stringent guidelines that they needed to be met with, and the city did on their side as well. And so I went through and collaborated with the procurement purchasing administrator who oversaw the contracting activities. I was overseeing all the compliance activities. So what we did is we combined our efforts together, and we put together a curriculum of assigned projects specifically designed for him to learn about what public procurement is all about. So he learned the gamut from the very beginning of when a solicitation starts to the very end when a contract is closed out. And so I had put together some requirements for him to do auditing of contracts. And the purpose of him doing the auditing of the contracts was to be able to review an invoice to see if that invoice could be matched back to the scope of work of what we were buying from the contract. He also had to become adept about looking back and finding out, were there delivery terms in there and what did those mean? And was the vendor adhering to those? So it was a good exercise for this intern to be able to go through and go an actual contract and have to learn about all those individual components that a contracting officer needs. And then on the flip side of that, he would go through and for new solicitations that were awarded, so that brand new contract is he put together a contract summary document. And what that contract summary document does is provide a overview of the key important areas of that contract. That document gets posted on our website, but it also goes out to the end users and the contract representatives who are going to manage that contract from a day-to-day basis. So with that, he was also attending pre-bid meetings, pre-proposal meetings. So he got a very well-rounded education within a short, 3-month time frame that he was here, and so those are just some of the ideas that we had come up with for bringing on an internship and what they could actually do for us.
That's great. Those are some great ideas on things to have them work on, Lloyd. That kind of helps me segue into this next question, which you already kind of answered, but do the rest of you have anything else to add? Are there specific projects or tasks that you always have your intern take on?
We vary our tasks every year, but I started from the beginning. It was not going to be an internship where they in old-fashioned terms, bring me coffee and stand at the copier all day. I didn't want that. There's no point in that. And I don't drink coffee, so it's just a euphemism. But so we started each year, we've done it. We come up with maybe 2 or 3, depending on how involved they are, major tasks, usually things that I want to do but haven't found time to do, and assign the intern to work on them. 2 of them have been great because we've finally starting to have some staff turnover here. People come here and really like it, so we stay forever. But we have, the last couple of years, we started having turnover. Some of us retire. And I haven't had time to do any kind of real PowerPoint welcome to procurement. And I happen to be over IT here, or welcome to IT for new employees. So I had over 2 years, 2 different interns. One worked on a PowerPoint that I can present in person, or now with COVID, I just sort of do. Here's what IT does for you at KCDC. And they also worked on a project called here's KCDC Procurement and what you can expect and not expect. And then, like Lloyd said, I take them to pre-bids. I take them to bid openings, bid evaluations. I want them to have the whole picture. And, you know, even just interdepartmental meetings where we're discussing the scope of work or a contract problem, or what we call a ward meeting, where we meet with the vendor and the departments to make sure we all understand an award before we sign on the dotted line, as it were. I have them there. And if I have a webinar going, they actually sit in our bid room, which is directly across from my office here. They can hear the webinar. So I try to sort of immerse them, like Lloyd was saying, like they're a new permanent employee.
Yeah, we kind of approach it that same way, Terry. Anybody else? All right. I guess I would just add here at Ada County, besides those day-to-day tasks, we do the same thing, but we also have the spring, I feel like, is more exciting for our interns because we have our Ada County vendor fair that we put on every spring, where we bring all of our vendors in and do a whole kind of trade show style vendor fair. And that's really fun for them to be involved. We let them kind of head it up with our buyer. And so yeah, that is a lot of fun. If you have any like big projects like that they can really be a part of, then that would be great. So next, I just want to bring up, you know, it's important to think about do they have their own special space where they work in your office? I know for me, like I remember my first day here, it was my first big kid job. So I was so excited to get a cubicle for the first time. And I think about that with the interns. I know it seems silly now, but I know that when I present them with their new cubicle that they're super excited. Do you guys have a devoted space for your interns?
Yeah, we would find space for our interns, a suitable work space, because, you know, they need all the amenities that the contracting staff have, that we have in our offices or in our cubicles. So, you know, they need access to the computer network. They need access to files. They need access to a phone. And so, yes, that is, I would not want to bring an intern person on and not have those resources available to them.
Yep.
We do the same. We hardly ever use what we used to call the bid room. Very seldom, even before COVID, very seldom do we have anybody actually attend a bid opening. So that becomes our intern's office. And then when we have meetings in there, he or she can excuse themselves if they don't want to attend, or they can stay and learn a little bit. We set up a procurement intern at kcdc.org email. So they have a KCDC email. We give them access to an access code to the copier. And we don't have a separate phone for them, but you know, most of our business is done by email anyway. Well, actually there is a conference phone in there, come to think of it, but we treat them much like an employee, and there is, you know, you're sort of part of the team if you've got the cubicle or you got the copier code or you have an email address. You're more of the team and not an outsider. And that's, to me, that was one of the things I thought about. what would make an intern feel more a part of the team and not just sort of somebody superimposed. I take mine out to lunch a couple times when they get here, just to have some, obviously we're going to talk about public procurement, but also just some bonding time. And I don't usually go alone. I usually take other staff members just to balance that out some. But I think it's important to make them feel part of the team. And if we have a tradition here pre-COVID that when one of us has a birthday, we go out for lunch and we take the intern with us if they want to go. And I spring for that and just part of the team.
That's great, Terry. Those are great ideas. Fatima, did you have something else to add?
No, we do basically almost, the same thing, allocate a space, and just treat it like one of us.
Yep, I think that's important. I'm gonna just flip back to my presentation here really quick for you guys because I just want to share a little bit more about who we're seeing entering the workforce, just because it's something to think about and it's something to just note as far as the values, the value of these different generations entering the workplace. So millennials, of course, so, the age breakdowns are different on a lot of different things that you will read, but I find this one pretty accurate. But millennials are born between 81 and 96. So we're still seeing them enter the workforce right now. And just, things to keep in mind, it is the largest generation in U.S. history, even bigger than the baby boomers. Millennials grew up in a time of rapid change, and so it gives them a set of priorities and expectations sharply different from previous generations. Obviously, they're super tech savvy. They were the first generation brought up with computers. Members of millennials are digital natives, you could say, and they're comfortable with most advanced technologies and can teach you how to use tools like content management systems and social media. Another big thing is they're team players. So some call Generation X the me generation. We might term this generation as the we generation because they have a heightened sense of community and peer-to-peer relationships. Also optimistic. So positivity in the workplace is really important to these people, and it can be invaluable to your agency's culture and team morale. So hiring millennials for your internship program could infuse your workplace with optimism. They're also highly educated. They're the most ambitious generation when it comes to education and likely to be the most educated generation. By the time millennials are finished with college, most will hold a degree. And then lastly, current. So just like employing any youth generation, hiring millennials will help keep your agency up to date with social, entertainment, and other market trends, and they offer a fresh perspective. Now, I just wanted to point out, looking here at Gen Z on the right, the oldest members of Gen Z, born in the late 90s, are starting to enter the workplace, and probably a lot of your interns that are applying now are going to be actually Gen Z, and many of the same benefits, you'll see many of the same benefits as millennials as far as they're tech savvy, they're current, motivated by training and advancement, and very collaborative. But I just wanted to add, just to point out, they're also very loyal. A study by Career Builder noted just 16% of high school seniors plan to make frequent moves throughout their career, which I thought was interesting. So they can make very loyal long-term employees who want to grow within your organization. Also great at multitasking. This generation is described as always on, and it's not always an admirable skill to be multitasking so much, but it can translate to the ability to manage multiple tasks and deadlines, which we all know that's a huge part of what we do in procurement. And then they're also flexible. Unlike many other generations, they embrace change, which I thought this was great. They've grown up in a world of rapidly advancing technology, so they're all about staying current and changing with the times. So translating that into the workplace, they're enthusiastic to adopt or even lead new initiatives at work. So I thought that was great. And then just one last point that I think is interesting is many members of Gen Z are forgoing college. So many might enter the workforce sooner than expected. So just something to think about with your internship programs. I don't know if that'll affect how many applicants we start seeing, but I thought that was interesting. So I'm going to open it back up to the panel here. And so since both of these generations are applying for these jobs, what benefits have you seen these different students bring to your teams?
Fresh ideas. That's the main thing, you know, and it's like another set of eyes, you know, even though that they don't, their lack of experience, life experience, but they have the, you know, the knowledge, the theory that they got from, you know, from college or universities. So, I mean, I think that that's, you know, that bring us new ideas to see, you know, for us, like me, baby boomers, you know, make us be more open-minded, you know, accept their ideas, you know, not to be stuck in the past, you know, they can see things, simplifies things. I guess that's the word.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else?
I'll second those comments and say, in addition, just new energy. Now, I'm pretty well advanced in my career. I'm not saying I'm old and decrepit, but I'm, 32 years in, as I mentioned. So an intern is wanting to put a great step forward. They usually actually want to accomplish something. I don't think the ones I've had would be happy bringing me coffee and making copies. I think they would complain to the university. They want to do something. And they're tech savvy. One of the things we're HUD funded. We have a lot of HUD forms, well, not a lot, but HUD forms we have to put in bid documents. People inevitably miss certain check boxes because one of the forms is tiny print. Lloyd may be familiar with it, a 5369. So I had one of my interns, I'd had a bid opening, and there were, I think, 10 bids, 8 bids. 8 of the 8, if there were 8 of the 8 vendors failed to check those silly little tiny print check boxes. So I assigned to my intern to do something in the Adobe. And so it was a female that year, she highlighted them and did like a little outline border. So it's very hard to miss. Again, could I do that? Yes. Would I find time to do that? No. And she was very familiar with Adobe, and she had it done about by the time I finished saying what I wanted her to do. So those are my comments.
That's great, Terry. Thanks.
Yeah, the interns are very motivated, and they want to accomplish things. And I think it's important that that you define what they need to accomplish by the end of their internship, and and provide them an employee evaluation, because the intern I had, I treated this person as if he was a permanent employee. I wanted him to feel a part of the team, as Terry had mentioned. It's very important that they feel a part of the team while they're there. And that also, speaks to the professionalism of your organization in your area as well. So providing them a well-rounded, balanced, and challenging environment to work in, I think also provides that preparation that they're going to need when they need to enter the workforce at some point in the future.
That's great, Lloyd. I know when I do like another internship presentation on this topic, and when I was researching, I was reading about evaluations, and I don't know why, like that's something we've never done for our interns, and I think that would be a great thing to incorporate. If you have any type of like form that you use, I know Brian's going to share some information with the group, but maybe you could send that over if you're able to share it with Marquita, and maybe we can gather these items and share them with the group, if you don't mind. All right. Well, next, it really is important to have sort of somebody that champions your internship program and, really heads it up and is responsible for it. Who is your intern champion? How do they run your program? Does anybody want to expand on that?
In our case, it's simple. I'm the intern program champion, administrator. et cetera. So, and I'm pleased to do it. Probably no one on this panel or on this call knows, but a little background. I was originally trained to be a teacher, a public school teacher, and I never chose to do that. But in any case, my heart's always been with the youth and educating the youth. And so that, comes easy for me to champion having an internship program.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you're somebody out there that hasn't started a program, I would recommend choosing somebody on your staff that's passionate about it. I think that's kind of why my boss asked me to do it, because I hadn't been out of college too long, and I'm still involved with the university. So pick somebody that's going to be really excited about it and take it and run with it. Fatima, did you have something to add?
I'm the one who runs it for the Central Florida chapter, and like I said, you just said it. You have to have a passion. My passion is, to promote procurement and recruit, new people. And then the reason is, we don't take enough time to go to visit and do like a lunch and learn to schools or to high school or college, and like from me, I'm just kind of getting closer to my retirement, and I don't see that many people, that are many young people that are aware about our profession. So, that's one of the things, the passion to promote and to have that connection. I use it like a networking tool and to try to keep myself up to date, with what the young generation is thinking about, and I see it as a great opportunity,
Yep, I agree, Fatima. That's awesome. Now, of course, we have to cover the topic of COVID-19. What is everybody doing? I know Lloyd touched on his program a little bit, but how are you handling your program during COVID-19? I guess I can just start by just telling a little bit about what we've been doing, but in the spring, our internship had to kind of come to an abrupt end. That was a bummer. We had a great intern on board. And once we started coming back into the courthouse, we rotate. There's two to three of us on my team that rotates in every day. So it does work for us. We don't usually do a summer intern, and this summer we decided to try it out for a couple months, and we brought somebody on for a summer internship to see how it would work. And I just try to work really well with the rest of our staff as far as scheduling what days she's going to come in, who she's going to work with, since I'm not in the office every day like I normally would be with them. And so I think it just takes some planning, and we have to wear masks in here at the courthouse. And so just making sure they know what to do. And I was a little skeptical at first, but it's actually worked out just fine. So I'm curious if any of you guys have brought anyone on since COVID has hit.
I guess I'll take this. We haven't been able to promote the internship during this period of time. Most of the universities there, they just went back to, to school. And right now, agencies that don't want to participate, that's one of the challenges that I have. But I think, for us, this is the best time to hire an intern, because I don't know, like most of the agency are cutting down, have a freeze on hiring. So I think we should take advantage of that. And I encourage to all of the members that are watching this video to reach out to a university and participate. We need help. At least in my agency, we're short-handed, and I would love to have another resource, so they can assist us. And at the same time, we will be able to help this student, give him experience, a hands-on experience, and maybe he or she will be the future employee. But this is the best time for us to take advantage. That's what I want to say. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. If your agency is able to, this is a great time.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's been taking advantage or utilizing the program, since COVID hit. I had intended to, but once that came about, it kind of got put on the back burner a little bit. And it's interesting, and I think there's a great opportunity here to Fatima's point, to bring on students, and not just in your own area. This could be expanded out into the national area as well. And I'll, in case in point, just this past week, I received an email from a gentleman who was asking exactly about that. He represents a company that works with universities and colleges to find internships and projects for them from agencies in the government, but also in the private sector too. And I'll be glad to forward that email on as well, because that might be something that your agency might be interested in, or even your local NIGP chapter as well.
Great, thank you, Lloyd. Yeah, I know when we just went into this fall semester, I had reached out to the professor that I work with in the supply chain department and just asked his advice. Like, do you think if we advertise this position for the fall, if we'll get people interested? And he actually made me feel a lot better about it. He said, I think honestly, there's probably people that are needing the money right now, and I think there'd be a lot of interest. So to our surprise, yeah, we just advertised it in August and we got a little bit more applicants than normal. So we just hired a new guy who just started on Tuesday. So yeah, if you have the ability to be working in the office right now at all, I think you can make it work. And if you have questions, I'm happy to help give advice. And then also, Lloyd kind of touched on it earlier, but if you think outside the box, if there is a way for them to work remotely, I know we have a laptop assigned to our intern, but we haven't explored that. I know we're thinking about that. I mean, it does bring along some maybe difficult situations as far as checking out the laptop with them, making sure that all, that is all taken care of. But that could be an option for some people too, having them work remotely. I don't know. So do any of you have any experience with an intern working remotely? No. Well, just some food for thought. I didn't know if there was any other questions. Okay. We are almost wrapping up, but we've got a couple more topics and I wanted to show one more item on my little presentation here for you guys with just covering benefits to your agency. Some of this we've talked about and some of it we haven't, but benefits to your agency and procurement as a profession. So it's going to, of course, bringing on an intern is going to increase productivity. So a quality intern can make real contributions to productivity and, by helping full-time staff avoid becoming overburdened by side projects. I know a lot of our agencies in procurement feel very overloaded. I know it's kind of a common theme. So this is a way to kind of help divvy out those side projects, freeing up more time to accomplish more of your tasks that require high-level expertise. Also recruiting well-suited staff members. So it's essentially a year-round recruiting tool. It helps create an ongoing pipeline of future employees. Increased visibility on campus. So we all know that government procurement doesn't get a lot of exposure on most college campuses. So your program can increase visibility to the profession. And if your agency impresses a few interns, word will quickly spread. So just something to think about. You might soon find most of the sought after student talent is interested in working with you. And it also enhances perspective. So new people bring new perspectives that can break up the status quo, as well as specialized strengths and skill sets. It gives you a chance to give back to the community and the profession. So hiring interns, it not only helps students in your community get started, but it enhances the local workforce as a whole. And in return, the community will be motivated to support your organization. closes the skills gap with real world experience. So it's common that new grads hit the workforce lacking skills that are needed, and it'll help a student close the gap with real world experience in an internship. As current employees mentor and supervise interns, they'll also gain valuable leadership skills. I think this is a really great point. It can be a great training for an employee who might eventually occupy a management position. Supervising interns is often less stressful than supervising already established employees. So just kind of a different way to look at it. Improve the work environment. So with interns on board, employees have a lighter workload, and interns often bring enthusiasm, motivation, and positive energy, like we've already kind of touched on a little bit. But this work ethic and positivity can easily rub off on your team, improving the overall culture of your agency. And then lastly, the program gives us a chance to learn from each other. That's something we always tell our interns. You're going to learn a lot, but we're going to learn a lot from you. And they're going to get a great hands-on experience with government procurement while we learn things from them, such as maybe latest techniques and new technologies. And I had to throw in this picture here because this was my favorite intern we've had. He is awesome. So I'm going to go back here, and again, we've just got a couple more points to touch on, but who has any success stories that they would want to share regarding their internship programs? And it could be something else, but maybe where have your interns ended up career-wise? Anybody want to take that?
Yeah, I can share my one experience. I'm batting 1,000, so to say, in baseball right now, because my first intern was in 2019, and he was very enthusiastic about learning the procurement, contracting, auditing, compliance, the whole thing. And he was in the logistics and supply chain management program at the time. Well, about 3 months, after he had left the internship program, he called me and said, I just wanted to let you know that I just was hired at the University of Arizona as an entry-level buyer. Oh. And he was so thrilled and thankful that there are internship programs out there that he was able to be involved in to really form his basis and his foundation for procurement. And specifically in this case, it was public procurement. And it's exciting. When you see the end result like that, when you have an intern that comes in, and then you see that they have taken on that career, it was just a moment of joy for me.
That's great, Lloyd. Thanks for sharing.
I have two success stories too. But the last one that I'm very proud of, she was finishing her master's degree in finance. And then when she did the externship, she did it for 3 days. And then she was hired by one of the agency as an intern, non-paid internship for a period of 3 months. Later than, the following year, she was hired as a part-time. Then she was hired as a part-time as a buyer. She did it for about almost a year. Now she got promoted to be like a senior purchasing agent, and now she's her name is Ramadev, and now she's serving she's one of the officers for the for the Central Florida chapter. She changed her career from finance to procurement, and she loves it, and she's been a success story. She's been moving up and so eager and mentoring others, within our organization.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Anybody else? I know for us, it's hard because oftentimes, my department doesn't have an opening at the time. So I feel like we don't always have opportunities for them to move right into. Actually, usually we don't. And so unfortunately, most of our interns end up moving on to private sector, but I will say, you know, they're going into some great jobs. At least we gave them some professional experience and they got to experience the public side, and maybe in the future, you know, they'll move back into the public side and see the value, you know.
Tanya posted in the chat box, one of my employees, I have two, started as an intern and I hired him full time. At 21, he's motivated to learn and is technology driven. So there's another success
awesome.
Story.
Good.
Well,
My agency is, my agency is a lot like yours, Alyssa. And I think I mentioned people come here to stay. We have good benefits, nice place to work, blah, blah. So we don't have a lot of openings, but an interesting twist last year when I had my intern, our CEO, who's 37, by the way, mentioned to me that he would like to see a way that we could vet interns that I might have for any other jobs within our agency because of their commitment to public service. I haven't really gone there yet, but I obviously I will, since he's the CEO and I'm not. And but you know, we might be developing some sort of potential, as more and more of us will be retiring. 40-something% of us at this agency can retire in the next 5 years. So
wow.
there's going to be some demand.
Yep. I was going to say, we, at least when we have an opening, usually before we advertise it or right when it goes out, we reach out to our past interns that we know, you know, did a great job, and we give them a chance and reach out to them personally because, you know, we know how they work, and now we have an opening, you know, we'd love to have them on our team. So something to keep in mind, if you don't have an opening, just keep that list and keep in touch. We always keep in touch through LinkedIn after our interns leave, and I love to see, you know, how they've developed. It's just kind of fun to keep that relationship going, but just something to think about. Anybody have anything else to add on success stories?
Yeah, let me just add a little bit to my story. Fatima kind of reminded me of it, and I failed to mention this, and I think it's important to mention. So, you know, the intern that eventually got hired at the university only had an associate's degree at that time when he graduated. But through research and through some of the discussions, I said, you know, you can look at local government agencies. Many times they have programs available to reimburse you for continued higher education. And so the city of Tucson has a program like that. So he wanted to go on and get his bachelor's degree. He was already going down that road. So he ended up getting hired at the University of Arizona, and now he gets free education basically to complete his bachelor's degree there. So it's just another one of those discussion points when you're talking with folks about the profession and procurement and where it could take you at some point to help alleviate some of those costs.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we're almost about to wrap this up, but I have one last question I wanted to ask you guys, and it's just, has anybody had any challenges with their program that they want to share just to give people advice?
Well, I will say the challenge that I have within the chapter is the lack of the agency participation. So I'm constantly trying to recruit agency to sponsor an intern, you know, and it is difficult, you know, and just trying to, and I guess the problem that they have is just their policies, you know. Sometimes they're not able to hire an intern, but it will be great, you know, if all the agencies participate, you know, that way we'll be able to give more to, you know, to our community, to the students.
Yeah, and I know it sounds like all of us approach it differently. I forgot to touch on this earlier, but as far as hosting the internship through your specific agency or if it's through your chapter. And so it sounds like we all do it a little differently, but it's just great information to take back. Like for me, we only do it at my agency, but I think there's so much opportunity sharing it and involving your chapter. So yeah, just something to think about. Anybody else have any challenges though that they that they have with their program? Your programs are just all awesome, so it sounds like anyway. All right. Well,
It's
anybody-
just what Fatima had said. It's really the challenges is getting the participation, and whether that is through, you know, your agency or whether that is through, you know, your local chapter and getting those agencies involved as well. And I think sometimes there's some challenges with, you know, the outreach to the target audience. But I think we've offered up some great ideas about that. I never would have thought about approaching political science majors.
Yeah.
And that was an eye opener for me. And it's like the light bulb went off. Ooh, okay. So let's not artificially, you know, narrow down what that audience is, but we need to be thinking outside of that box.
Yeah, and partner with those professors in those departments. They'll be happy to share your programs with their students. Ours will announce it during class, and yeah, sometimes, I know in the past it was before my time, but the gal here would go to their class and present about our internship program. And I know it sounds like Terry kind of does something similar just about procurement in general, but yeah, they are there to help, and they're happy usually to promote your program. So definitely take advantage of those partnerships.
I guess I do have a little bit to add, you know, from a different perspective. Our challenge, one was, and I mentioned it in the chat box, was there was a lot of setup with our HR department. You know, you had to write a job description in our case. I don't know if all agencies do it that way, but that was a bit of a challenge because they have a mindset, and my mindset doesn't usually correlate to their mindset, shall we say. And there was a lot of back and forth trying to get that somewhat appropriate. And then I posted about the interview questions. That took a long time because they have standard interview questions our HR department does, and most of them were meaningless for an internship in procurement. And we had a lot of back and forth and frankly frustration on my part and probably theirs, coming up with some meaningful questions to ask. But once we got past that, it's been relatively easy to do. And then in a odd way, I guess a challenge was me getting the nerve up to ask my boss, the CFO, for the money to fund it. And boy, was I shocked when the first time I ran it by her, it was approved. You know, I asked her like in February, and she said, put it in next year's budget, because we start budgeting in late March. It's like, really? And then I kept waiting for the hammer to fall. Oh, we pulled that out of the budget, and the hammer never fell. So to me, those were sort of the bigger challenges.
Yeah, if you've got a real hands-on HR department, it sounds like that might be challenging. Anybody have any last questions for the panel, or anybody else on the panel have anything else to add? I think we've had a lot of great points covered today. So anyone else? All right. Well, I think we're about out of time anyway. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the panel, and thank you to the attendees. And if you're watching this recorded later, we hope that you get some great information out of this. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.